Text shadow is a lot like a box shadow. The only difference really here is that a box shadow can have like an inside shadow called an inset, and text does not. All right, so what I'm going to start doing here is I'm going to write internal CSS. Not external CSS, not inline CSS, but internal CSS, so that when you download these project files, you can actually have access to all this CSS. So I have a box in here. Cool. And let's go ahead and add some text in here. And this text is going to say, hello world. And when I load this up in my browser, it just says hello world. We can make this significantly bigger. We can change the font size if we wanted to a little bit later, which actually maybe we'll do as well, just so that we can really dive into CSS. So let's select that box by our class. We learned about this selector in CSS 101. And so all this is saying is select this element by this class name. Give us a font size of maybe like 40 pixels. Let's save and refresh. There we go, that's bigger. And now what we can do is we can add a text shadow. So text shadow, and this takes an X, a Y, a blur value, and the color. So let's go ahead and change that X value. We want to move this to the right, let's say 10 pixels. Then the Y value is also going to be 10 pixels. That's going to move it downwards. A blur, let's say it's not going to blur at all. So it's going to be an exact copy, exact outline of our text. And the color here is going to be red. Just something obnoxious that we can really see what's going on. Now we have a text shadow that moves this down 10 pixels and moves it to the right 10 pixels. Now, if we wanted something a little more elegant, we could do something like 2 pixels. And by the way, to select this, all I did was select my 10 pixels, or it's now 2 pixels, but I selected that 10 pixels. And if you go to selection, add next occurrence, for me, that's Command D. It's going to be different for you, probably, I can imagine. You can just type in 2 places at the same time, which is really, really useful. It's a good shortcut to remember. Let's go ahead and save that. Let's refresh, and that looks a little bit better. Now, we can also add a blur value. This blur value currently is 0, which is the same as not having it whatsoever. By default, it's not blurring at all. Let's go ahead and add a blur value of 5 pixels. And all this is going to do is say, for every pixel that's back there, every red pixel, blur it out 5 pixels. And so we have a nice little blur there. It actually looks like this is coming off of the page a little bit. Now what we can do is we can actually change the body background color. So body background color is going to be black. It's going to be the same color as our text. And let's go ahead and refresh this. And now it looks a little spookier. Now I'm recording this around Halloween, so this is really, well, this is applicable because this is kind of spooky. But we can't see that text anymore, which is really nice. We could also try to, instead of doing that, we could do a color, RGBA, and it doesn't really matter what color we fill its color. Let's fill it with black, but let's also make it completely see-through with a 0 alpha in there. And now we just have the blurred text. So that is text shadow. What I would like you to do is write some text on your page. It could just say hello world, and then add a text shadow. Add your x-axis, your y-axis, or your horizontal and your vertical alignment. Add a blur, and then add a color. You don't have to do the RGBA. We learned about that in CSS 101 as well, so if you need to, go back to CSS 101 and quickly learn what RGBA is, but really it's just a color mode. It's saying red, green, blue, alpha. Alpha is your transparency. So we said 0, 0, 0, that's black. Make it completely see-through.